All right, welcome to APNIC Services session. Welcome, everyone. I hope you all enjoy your lunch. All right, so of course you are here. You probably have a fair idea what this session is all about. We have been doing services session for the last few years, and each time in the APNIC conference, we have this session so that we hope to bring all the members that who receive the services that will be able to have the opportunity to talk to us in person about the services they have received. And of course, it's for APNIC to be able to make updates, share the information with you about the service development, what's new and what's coming. And of course, we'll be very happy to hear your feedback and comments about all these services and have a discussion. So please treat this make this an interactive session that we hope to hear questions from you, comments from you, and now you can sit back and relax to hear what we are going to share. All right, so who are the speakers today? My name is George Ko. I'm the Services Director for APNIC. And together with me, we have staff from the services team and also from the training team. I have Vivek Nigam, who is the Member Services Manager. Anna Mulingbayan, if I pronounce your surname correctly. She's the Senior Internet Resource Analyst who's been with APNIC for quite a long time. And we also have a very experienced training manager, Nurul Islam, also known as Roman, am I correct? Yes. She's also been working with APNIC's training team for a long time and giving a lot of training to APNIC members across the region. And finally, we have a new member, George Odagi, another George at APNIC. He will be able to speak to you and share the information about the new stats page. All right, so that's about us. What about you? I'm interested to know, you would show of hand, you're APNIC members here? I know I've just met someone. Or you're all too shy? Good, good. Thank you all for coming. All right, so we have quite a few things to share with you, and these are our agenda. We'll give a brief introduction about APNIC services, and of course, we will talk about the services update that we always have it as an agenda in each of these the services session. We're also going to take you through how we process account management, sharing the different scenario with you, and also talking about how these reclaimed resources are managed after account termination. And followed by that, Nurul will give you some highlights and update for training activities for 2016. So he's got quite a lot of information to share with you. And like I mentioned before, George Odagi will take you through, we'll do a live demo of this new statistics portal that we are going to roll out very soon. Hopefully, will be sometimes in March. So we do have quite a packed agenda, but we will not rush. We'll take the time to go through each one of these with you. So, as you know, APNIC is the registry for the region. We are serving 56 economies, and we, for quite a long time, we've been trying to outreach to those who need APNIC services, making sure that they get the information, they get the resources they need. And over the year, we are also seeing the growth of a member number here, if you can see on the projector. So we are serving an increasing number of membership over the years. And hopefully most of you will be familiar with some of the services that we provide. We have registration services. The hostmaster will process and request IPv4 or any other resource requests. We provide hostmaster consultation. Whenever who has a question for a membership-related inquiry, we have a help desk, dedicated help desk staff to be able to answer their question. We have a dedicated training team going out to provide training face-to-face, also online e-learning. Technical assistance, which Nurul will talk more about that later. We have a lot of information on our website, very well-known APNIC labs, lots of information for you to consume. And I mentioned earlier, we also go out and outreach to our memberships with member gathering and events and so on. And we also have a very important portal that we constantly try to improve the feature for that portal. So, example of these activities, registration, we do resource delegation, registration, even most recently, the last few years, IPv4 transfer, which was a great discussion in the last session. Hostmaster consultation will provide confidential person-to-person, one-on-one consultation to give, explain the policy or how to get resource requests, talk about how they do the transfer, and discuss the problem or question they have. Member Services Help Desk, it's extended operation hours from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you wish to speak some other language, we have quite a multilingual team as well. So this is just an example of these service activities that we have. One more thing I'd like to mention is the instant feedback survey that we introduced last year. This, you probably as a service recipient, dealing with many service organizations, you often get an email or text message or whatever that they would be asking you, what do you feel about the service experience. So we are actually trying to do that now since 2015, and we are slowly rolling out a few feedback. The objective and the idea of this is we want to get it right after the service that's been delivered, it's been received, and not only we are just trying to monitor and keep up with the very high standard of service, most of all, we try to, through these surveys, find out the things that we can identify, we can take actions to improve our service further. It's not just to get a feel of, okay, someone is happy, 50%, 70%, 80%. So we're really interested in those feedback that we can take action to further improve our service ongoing. And example of these surveys available now, we're already doing for the help desk support. So after each interaction with help desk, that staff that we will be sending out the instant survey request. And also from here now in this conference, we are also providing that survey to the Hostmaster consultation sessions. And in those outreach events, such as the member gathering, we are also asking those quick surveys to help us to improve the future event, and hopefully we'll bring them the most relevant topics that's useful and helpful to them. So that's the last thing I'd like to mention before I move on to talk about the services roadmap. If you attend the past services sessions, you may have seen some of these services roadmap that we have introduced. And again, the idea or the objective of these services roadmap is to be able to inform the membership, inform members about these service development in advance, so that they will be able to take this information back and think about it and perhaps share their thought and feedback with us. So since we first introduced in 2014, we have got a few already. So I just put some roadmap, but what I really wanted to concentrate and talk about is the last one that we introduced in Jakarta, APNIC 40. So in that service roadmap, we highlight on quite a lot of service user experience improvement. For example, we want to make the authorized contact management much easier and faster for members to update these information. It's critical that we'll be able to manage that timely, that suits, fit in the convenience. Also for Whois record management, we believe in providing a better service that will be able to help them to update, again, Whois information timely. So that's kind of help in keeping the good data in the Whois database. Reverse delegation and so on. We hear often from a lot from the My APNIC survey that they would like to have a better feature to help them to manage IPv4 and v6 at the same time. So these are the few things that Vivek will speak after me to go through the detail with you. Now, I wanted to, again, bring your attention to, again, this the services roadmap page, web page that we just put up December last year. And again, the idea of this is to help you to be able to track and follow all this service development easily, right? Because each time we are introducing new services roadmap, and there will be status update and exactly what's been changed, what's been done, what is it for, and so on. So it can become quite a lot to follow as we introduce more roadmaps. So hopefully this page, if you get some time, you can browse it through and give us some feedback. And from this page, you can also directly give feedback to the particular roadmap and feature that you like to give. All right, finally to the roadmap that we are going to add a little bit more to 2016 roadmap. Because the previous one you have seen, we talk about a lot of service improvement, authorized contact, Whois management, route and ROA management, and so on. So we're going to add a bit more to the 2016 roadmap. Again, this is taken from the APNIC survey that we have received. A lot of people asking us to improve the feature in APNIC. And we have identified with all sorts of transfer people are doing. There's quite a room for improvement. So we are going to work on this. And in this roadmap, we are also adding to restyling APNIC. We have received feedback like the APNIC looking a bit like old school. So we would like to refresh the style and making the navigation much easier, at least pleasant to look at when you use it. And we are also introducing new technical assistance program, which Nurul will also will go through the detail with you. And finally, there's also a lot of feedback to ask us to provide some sort of video help. So this is not going to be a lengthy video that you have to, like watching a movie before you get to know how to do something. This is going to be a very quick video, perhaps 15, 20, 30 seconds, just to help you to refresh some of the well, for example, if you don't use all the time, you just use it once a week, once a quarter, you might not remember what you need to do. So this video guide is just to serve as a reminder to help you to get something done quickly in a very short time. So this is the detail of the roadmap. So we're looking forward to bringing you these improvements within this year, and we will be providing a status update from the services roadmap page, and also we will be presenting the progress in the next APNIC services session. And I think that's it for me, and I'll just pass on to Vivek to show you some highlights of this improvement that we've been working on for 2016 roadmap.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vivek, and I look after the member services team at APNIC. As George explained, last year we did a feedback for APNIC to find out what improvements our members want to see in APNIC. So in the next few slides, I'd like to show you some of the details of the improvements we are currently working on. So the first two improvements I have here, which is the Simplified Whois updates and reverse DNS improvements, these are already in our production APNIC system. So if you haven't tried them, do give it a try and let us know what do you think about it, if we can improve it further. And the other two improvements to do with route and ROA improvement and authorized contact management, these are the ones we are currently working on, and we hope we'll have them ready sometime next month. All right, so first up we have the Simplified Whois updates. So if you consider a typical scenario when a contact leaves an organization, what are the chances you think they will update all the Whois database details before they leave? it's very unlikely. It's not their problem anymore. So generally, when a new guy joins, they have a steep learning curve. They need to know what a Whois is, how maintainers work, what is nick handle, and all the technicalities there. So through these improvements, we are trying to make it as easy for you to update your Whois registration. And some of the improvements here include an option to view and replace all your contact details, an option to bulk update them to all other objects where they are associated, and also a feature to view all objects that are associated with your account. So you don't need to search individual objects. You can just ask MyAPNIC to show, say, all your route objects. So let me show you how these features look in MyAPNIC. So for this contact update feature, you need to go to Resource and Contact Details. Here you'll see a list of all person and role objects that MyAPNIC has identified that belong to your account. Once you select the ones that are invalid, you can simply give the details of the new person you want to replace it with and simply go next. So you'll get a confirmation message on about what you're about to change. And in case you want to view what objects you're updating, there's an advanced feature which shows all the objects it's found, and it lets you filter that as well. One additional improvement we're working on is the option to view all objects. So for example, you want to create an AS set to show what your AS peers are, but you don't know if you've created one. You can just select the object type and select AS set in this example, and MyAPNIC will simply show all AS sets it's found associated with your AS number. So you can simply click on it, or if you don't find it here, just hit add and create a new AS set object. So we hope that these improvements make it a lot easier for you to manage your Whois registration details. Right, so next we have some improvements to reverse DNS. So some improvements we have made here include a single page to manage all your reverse delegation needs, so you don't have to go to different places to update, different places to delete, and so on. And we've integrated the reverse domain verification tool here, so you can check if your name servers are working or not. So briefly how this looks, on this summary page, you can view all your v4 and v6 resources, as well as see if you've created domain objects for them. When you drill into the prefix you're interested in, you'll see the actual domain objects, what name servers you've used. You can create new domain objects here. And in case you're not sure if those name servers are configured, there's the test all feature here. When you use this feature, in this case, you can see there's a green tick. It suggests your name servers appear to be working. It's found SOA records, so everything is fine. So hopefully this makes it easy for you to look after your reverse DNS as well. Right, so next one, this is an interesting one, is to do with route and raw management. This is the one we are currently working on. So some improvements here include an option to create your route and rows in one go, so you don't have to complete different templates for these objects. There's also a feature to send automated notifications to AS custodians. So in the event you're using an AS number that doesn't belong to your account, MyAPNIC can send notifications to them saying this route object is now registered. And then there's also a feature to detect any conflicts between your routes and ROAs, so you can click and quickly fix it. This is a prototype of what this page might look like. We are still working on this. So as you can see, there are two tabs here for IP prefix. This will show all route objects using your IP. And there's another tab for AS numbers. So you can also view all route objects that have been created using your AS number. So those IPs might not belong to your account. And then on that table, you can also see if there is raw objects created for those routes. If not, you can edit and create it, as well as if there's any conflicts between your routes and rows, so if the AS is not matching. And when you try to create a new route object, there's a simple template to fill, and there's also just a one-tick option to create a row for that prefix as well. Okay, and the last one we have is authorized contact management. Now, we know that corporate contacts, they're often very busy. They don't have time for administrative tasks like adding or removing contacts, which leads to a lot of members having invalid contacts. So through this improvement, we are allowing all contact types to initiate contact updates. It'll still need to be approved by the corporate contact, but at least they can start it. And also in the event all the corporate contacts are invalid, there'll be an online form you can use to nominate a new corporate contact. So again, you don't have to fill the old PDF forms and email it to us. So visually, there's not much difference here. If you're corporate contact, everything looks the same. If you're a non-corporate contact, you'll see the options to nominate new contacts, add, delete other contacts. And when you try to use this feature, it'll send an email to the authorized contact, which they can just click via email to authorize, so they don't need to log into my APNIC, saving everyone time. So these are the improvements we have. Before we move on to the next topic, is there any feedback or comments? Do you think these improvements will help? No? Everyone seems happy? Okay, so in that case, I'll move on to my next presentation, and this is to do with closures. Now, membership closures is something we don't like to do. We don't like to lose our members. But unfortunately, this is something we do every month. We do lots of it. So in the next few slides, I'd like to show you some of the different reasons we need to close accounts. Now, the two most common reasons we close accounts, they're due to non-payment of invoice or voluntary closures, so the member doesn't need our service. And in some rare cases, we've also closed accounts due to providing false or misleading information or due to making fraudulent payments. Right, so here you can see last year, in total, we closed 331 members, which is quite a large volume. And majority of those closures, about 192 of them, were due to non-payment of renewal invoices. So let's have a look at why this is happening. Now, non-payment of invoices, this could happen for two reasons. It could be because the member simply failed to pay on time, or they were not contactable. So all the details we had for the member became invalid. So let me show you some more details about both these cases. Now, all renewal invoices that APNIC issue, they need to be paid within 30 days. And if it is not paid in 30 days, we give an additional grace 30 days to make those payments. So you get 60 days in total. And generally, we are flexible with that date too, or that number. So for example, if a member is having difficulties paying the payment, we offer them extensions to help them out. Or if they're having some kind of hardship, we offer them payment plans to pay them in installments. Now, the number one reason we close most accounts are because they are non-contactable. So all the details we had for the member, the corporate contact, technical contact, phone numbers, they've all become invalid. So when this happens, there are a number of steps we take to try and make contact with the member. We search their websites, we do some other Google searches, we try and get help from other team members, like our license officers, see if they know someone from this company. If that does not work, we check all previous logs we have with that member, such as their emails, phones, to see who we spoke to. And as a last resort, we also check their previous payments. So if they paid by credit card, we see what email they put and see if we can get in touch with them through that email. And if all of these fails, there's pretty much nothing else we can do, so that account goes through the 60 days agings, and after that, we end up closing the member. Okay, so next we have voluntary closures, and this could happen again for a number of reasons. The two most common ones being due to merger and acquisition or due to IP address transfers. So once all resources have been moved to a new account, the member requests us to close the old account. This could also happen due to business not operating, so they've liquidated, or there's simply a change in business plan and they don't need their IPs. So when this happens, we just ask the members to confirm when they wish to close the account. And in the event they still have IPs, we also inform them about the option to transfer those resources. So we tell them, hey, are you aware we have a lot of members who are still in desperate need for IPs? So instead of just giving it back, you can consider transferring them before you close your account. And then we leave it up to the members to decide. Okay, so next we have the false or misleading information. This is a new trend we have noticed in the last year or so. So we get organizations who join APNIC, they provide all the documents to satisfy membership and then get the maximum of /21 delegation. Generally, instantly once we give them the IPs, we start receiving multiple network abuse complaints coming from those IP blocks. And that follows by reports of invalid contacts saying they're not contactable. And so far, last year, we have identified 5 of these cases. So when this happens, we follow our standard procedures where we try and get in touch with the member and ask them, why your contacts are invalid, you need to update them, at which stage the member stops responding to us. Some of the details they've given us, like their phone number, they become invalid, so even we can't get hold of a member. So when we can't directly get hold of them, we try and look for other avenues, such as the upstream providers, see if they can get us, give us some help to get in touch. And when all other avenues fail, we issue them a breach of agreement because they have provided false information and they have not updated it. And in the event they don't respond to that breach, we end up closing the account and taking their IPs back. And then lastly, closures due to fraudulent payments. Again, this is a new trend we have noticed where members join us and pay by credit cards. And generally, a few weeks after that, the banks contact us and tell us that this payment was fraudulent. The cardholder has not authorized this payment. So at this stage, we give the benefit of doubt to the members and ask them to provide some evidence to show the true cardholder has authorized it, which they can't provide. They've given us excuses like the cardholder is away, they're traveling, they can't get in touch with them, or they used a third-party cardholder and they can't get hold of them. So when this happens and they can't provide that information, we end up closing the accounts and again reclaiming their resources. So we've identified 7 of these cases just towards the end of last year, so we expect there might be more of these cases. So we are working on some improvements on our online credit card processing system to hopefully limit some of these fraudulent payments. Okay, so that's all I have. So to summarize this presentation, the majority of closures we do are due to non-contactable members. So this year we are taking various initiatives, making improvements in MyAPNIC to make it easy for our members to manage their authorized contacts. And we hope through these initiatives we can have a more accurate list of our members and we have fewer closures due to members being non-contactable. Yep. Any questions? Nope. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Vivek, for your presentation. I hope people here will have a better idea, a clear idea of what we do. And like as Vivek mentioned, we don't really like to close members' accounts, but at some stage we just have to. Before I introduce Anna, I thought I want to maybe add a bit of interaction before we move on. I don't want people to kind of fall asleep because there's still quite a few speakers to come. So this is an APNIC Services session. So I'd like to see whether anyone on the floor that will be able to tell me what is service to you. What does it mean? Show of hands. You get a prize you can collect from the lounge outside. Please, I'd like to hear from you of you. Perhaps you want to go to the mic, or we have a roaming mic, or you could just speak up that we can hear since it's not a huge room. What is service? What does service mean to you? Good, thank you. Do something to help your community. Anyone else? What does service mean to you? I'm sure many of you here provide service to your customers, right? And you want to provide very good service to your customer. What does it mean? One more, maybe.
Stable operation, reverse DNS.
Excellent. So from your perspective for what you specialize in, you want to do it. I think I'd like to share something that it's not from me. I want to quote it from a service guru, if you know him, Ron Kaufman. He thinks that service is taking the action to add value or create value for someone else. I think it's quite true. It's not just about making your customer happy, well, that's very important as well, but it's really taking the action to create value for the person you are serving. And I think that's the approach we want to take to continue to add value to the people that we serve in this community. Okay, so thank you for your participation. Now I would like to give the floor to Anna, please.
Hey, George, can I ask a question, please?
Yes,
Sorry.
certainly.
Your offer for the gift was quite lucrative, so I couldn't resist. Anyway, so Aftab Siddiqui here. I just need a clarification on something regarding the closure of accounts, because I faced the same issue with my last organization, where we end up getting a final notice of termination. And it was obviously our fault. But what we realized later on, that I can speak on behalf of at least Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, that in that region we have ISP associations. And all the ISPs, at least ISPs, are member of those associations, not enterprises for sure. So if somehow you are unable to contact the ISPs, is there any way to contact these associations who can help you in reaching out to the ISPs in future? Is it even possible? Is it part of your procedures to contact somebody else to reach out to the ISP or something like that?
I think, thank you for that suggestion, and I think we can certainly, for especially Pakistan, we can certainly consider and try that. But I think in Vivek's presentation, we do have the procedure to always look for additional contacts we have, but sometimes some country or some membership, it's a bit difficult. We do Google search, look up the website and so on. But for the particular case, we can certainly reach out to that association. Mindful about the confidentiality, so we need to think about how we want to do that, but we're certainly happy to try that.
Just want to add that in case of the ISP association in these countries, confidentiality is a big concern. So they do take care of that. Yeah. If you reach out to them, that will be totally confidential, sure, at least for these countries.
Certainly, yeah.
Thank you.
We can certainly try that. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you. Anna?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anna. I'm from APNIC. And in continuation of Vivek's presentation from closed membership, I am now going to present how APNIC manage all reclaimed IPv4 addresses from these closed members. Okay, so just to summarize the whole general process on how we manage reclaimed B4 addresses, we just put them into 4 simple steps. So first step is we identify reclaimed IPv4 addresses, and basically from this presentation, I'm going to cover only those that are reclaimed from APNIC direct delegations. And then the second step is the conditions that we put from these reclaimed resources and how we quarantine them to ensure that they are clean resources before it gets recycled. The third step is marking the status of these reclaimed resources and what happens after we return them back into the free pool. Sorry, I'm getting used to this. Okay, so why are these IPv4 addresses reclaimed? As Vivek mentioned, most of these reclaimed addresses are from membership closure. In our current procedure, once the membership is closed, by default, we reclaimed all their internet resources, and there are a few cases when members would voluntarily return part of their resources because they feel what they initially get from APNIC is more than what they need from their network. In fact, in our My APNIC system, we have an online form that allows members to return part of their delegation. So what happens with these reclaimed B4 addresses before we return them back in the free pool? First, we set some conditions to these addresses. First condition is it must be reclaimed over 12 months. The reason for this is because in some cases, even the membership is closed, we still have the days leeway period for them to come back to APNIC to reactivate their membership. So even if it's been reclaimed, we may have some cases where we need to redelegate these resources to reactivated membership. And then, again, during this period, we also quarantine the IP addresses to ensure that they are clean. So meaning it's not routed and blacklisted before it gets recycled and redelegated to other members. Okay, so how are we marking the status of these reclaimed addresses? First, we mark them as available if the IP address has been reclaimed over 12 months and it appears as clean. Clean meaning it's not routed and it's not blacklisted. Second, we mark them as routed if the IP address is still visible in the routing table. Because even if we reclaim the IP address, during the membership closure procedure, we would contact the upstream provider who are still announcing reclaimed resources, but in some cases, they still remain in action. Third, we mark them as blacklisted if they are still listed in the, say for example, spam house blacklist. And lastly, we mark IP address as pending if the claimed IP address is still within the 12-month quarantine period. Okay, on October 28 of last year, we did the first batch of returning IP address back in the pre-pool for all those available IP addresses. And as you can see from this graph, which is the IPv4 pre-pool indicator, on the following day, it does show an increase in the graph. So from from 0.64 something, it does go up to a certain amount of increase in the IPv4 address space. Now, after we did that process, we have now a weekly cron job that automatically returns IPv4 address weekly. So every Wednesday of the week, we receive list of IPv4 addresses that's been returned in the pre-pool, and then another email of all the lists that's been marked on what current status they are. And for this graph, it is updated daily. Now, the graph that I just previously showed only shows the total number of available IP addresses. If you want to know what's available between the final 103/8 and the recovered pool, right now we have 56.75% left for 103/8 and 3.25% from the recovered pool. So we are close to exhausting the recovered pool, and I believe tomorrow during the policy SIG session, there will be a discussion in the community where we will consult how the procedure will take place when the exhaustion takes place for the recovered pool. So we invite you to come to that session. Okay, now for the ongoing action, I did mention earlier that we have the list of pools from this closed membership. And as Vivek mentioned, we have quite a number of closures every month. So in reality, we do get available IPv4 address weekly. So in our procedure, the first step is upon closure and they're still being routed, we contact these upstream providers to stop announcing reclaimed resources. But in some cases, they are not actioned, so this is an ongoing procedure that we need to do to keep those reclaimed addresses as clean. And secondly, those that are blacklisted, in the website, they are not updated. For example, in Spam House, some of those that are listed as blacklisted are already reclaimed resources, so we need to contact them to be able to, for them to update their list. And why are we doing this procedure? I would say as a host master myself, from the new membership application that we receive, 90% of those are still applying for IPv4 addresses. So in doing this procedure, we maximize the usage of IPv4 address, and it does help to supply more IP address to the members. And lastly, it also helps clean up the reclaimed resources. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes the upstream provider is still announcing reclaimed resources because the customer forget to inform them that the IP address is already reclaimed. So in doing this information to the upstream provider, it helps them to be able to clean up their routing table. That's all from my presentation. Is there any question? Yes, Adam.
Hello, Adam Gosling from APNIC. You mentioned the non-103 pool and the exhaustion procedure for that. If anyone's looking for that on the agenda of the policy SIG, they won't see it. It's part of my implementation report.
Okay.
If anyone
Thanks
wants to
for
be there for
correcting
that. Okay.
Yep. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you.
All right, so Nurul, were you ready? Yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much coming here to listen to us. My name is Nurul Islam Roman. I am managing the training team now in APNIC. So what I will present now is our APNIC training service update, and I'll try to explain what are the training services that we have in our 2016 service roadmap. Well, APNIC training in Asia Pacific is very well known and popular. So we are doing this training since last 10, 15 years. So when we prepare our training in the training service, so we normally prepare it in sort of well ahead. So we would consider our training calendar that we have for the year is a very well-structured and solid training calendar. So since we publish our training event well ahead, so it allows our member to do their travel plan if some international travels are involved in here. And most of our training that we prepare are very confirmed, and there are very rare occasions that we had to cancel our training or reschedule our training. So that gives us sort of enough strength in our training plan so that from different part of Asia Pacific, when our members they need to attend our training, they can do plan well ahead. Third strength that we have in our training preparation is the strong support from our members. So we normally do our membership survey every year. From that survey, a strong mandate came to our training delivery. And as well as recently we did a training need assessment last year, and from the training need assessment also, we have a strong mandate from our members to do the training. So those are the three strengths that we have in the training team or in the training service. And if we now go into the training topics that we deliver for our members, so what are the training topics that we can deliver? Number one is our very own internet resource management. So this topic, internet resource management, actually talks about the relevant policy and procedures and how our members can follow this policy and procedures when they manage the internet resources. So this is what our core training activity that we deliver, and we'll continue that in this year roadmap. And this internet resource management course include the routing registry function as well. So altogether, we consider it as an internet resource management training. And as you can see, in internet resource management training, actually, those are the fundamental training topics, and from there, it actually branch out a number of subtopics. So we can cater our training delivery for our members if they need some specific training on internet resource management. So for example, just my APNIC or Whois database or even internet routing registry itself, that we can do as well. The next training topic that we deliver and which is very popular is the routing training that talks mostly about the infrastructure of our members. So again, on the routing topic, it has branched out to a number of sub-courses, which includes the basic routing, advanced routing, as well as BGP, IXP, and others. So this content actually caters different requirement from our members in a different level of the skill set. So in the routing training, we have hands-on as well. So to have a better understanding about the technology, we do those training along with the hands-on exercises. And in routing training, we have around 8 hands-on modules that starts from the basic routing all the way up to advanced BGP routing protocol. Then the third main topic that we deliver training is the DNS training. So in DNS, we train both forward and reverse DNS, and we do DNS 6 as well. So this is how our DNS training has got a number of subtopics. And again, in DNS, we have our hands-on module, and that helps us to conduct longer version technical training for our members. Then we have IPv6, which is another hot topic for the future of the internet. In IPv6, we have got 2 subtopics that includes both IPv6 as well as the security part of the IPv6 protocol. And in IPv6 training, we also has got hands-on module. Then we have got network security, and in network security, this is a very broad area. So in the training team, we normally cover the technology part of it. That includes cryptographies and other side of the network, for example, the infrastructure securities and others. And those are the knowledges that our member need to secure their network. And again, on the network security, we have got hands-on module. And then the very last one is our MPLS training. That actually add up additional values to our member infrastructure if they would like to deliver more services from their infrastructure. I'll come to that point later on. So in MPLS training, we also have got hands-on module, around 11 hands-on modules that we have in MPLS. So those are the training topics that training team can deliver for our members. So now I'll discuss about how we deliver the trainings on all those topics. Normally, our very popular training delivery method is the face-to-face training, which includes traveling to individual country or different part of our economy or the region. And in face-to-face training, normally the participants, they come to a classroom environment and we deliver the training. So in the face-to-face training delivery, we normally provide content for the conference like this. And those topics are around 20 to 30 minutes conference papers. And then apart from that, we do tutorials, which is part of the conference too. In tutorials, it's a little bit of longer versions than the conference papers. And time-wise, it can be from 90 minutes to the full day training. And normally in the tutorial, we don't include any hands-on. It's just the theoretical presentation. And the third one in our training delivery method is, the face-to-face training delivery method is the technical workshop in conjunction with the conference. Like this time in APRICOT, we did workshop week before the conference, and we did workshop, 5 days workshop with lots of technical content. So this is another way of face-to-face training that we do, and which is also 4-day to 5-day version. So those are the training that we deliver at the, apart from the, along with the conference. And apart from that, We also do our independent training in different part. So in those countries where there is no conference happening, training teams still go there and do training for them, independently. So those trainings normally like 3 to 5 days in duration and includes hands-on topics as well. So this is what our face-to-face training delivery method. The second one is our e-learning training delivery method. So in e-learning, what we do, we have a webcasted live presentation, which is 60-minute in duration. Every week in Wednesday, we deliver those live presentation from APNIC office. And we have a pre-scheduled event that has been published in training website. So we publish our e-learning web class in like 6-month duration. So if you are interested to participate any of those e-learning training, you can go and register and you can look for an event schedule for the next 6 months. And these webcasters training are free of cost for our members as well as who are not members, part of the community. In e-learning, the second training delivery way is the YouTube video. So we have recorded video presentation on different topic in short duration. Those we actually published on YouTube. And the recent trend on YouTube, recorded video is very heavily used by our members. Some of the technical video content in YouTube has got more than 150,000 of views. Then third one in e-learning, we are coming up with a self-paced module so that members can watch those training in their own time, in their own pace. And then the fourth one is as an online training academy. So they can register for any course in our academy and they can complete that course in certain duration. And it will be interactive. They can ask questions to the trainers and trainer can interact throughout the duration of the course with the trainers. So those are the two training delivery methods that we have, and in each method, those are the different way we deliver training for our members. So how our training can help our members? Normally, like in APNIC training team, what we realized by looking at the infrastructure for our members last 7 or 8 years, so our member infrastructure has been improved a lot from a single service platform where member used to deliver internet-only product to their customers. From there, the infrastructure has been evolved into a multi-service infrastructure, and in multi-service infrastructure, our members, they normally deliver voice, video, VPN apart from the internet product. And the main driver for this multi-service platform is adding more revenue from the single infrastructure. So this is how the infrastructure has been changed for our members last 8 to 10 years, and how training team is coping up with these changes. So to cope up with the change, in the training preparation, we also catering more content on the operational training. So that operational training actually includes how this multi-service platform can be effectively managed, better managed, and what are the skill sets required for that. So those sort of specialized knowledge that we would like to deliver from the training team, and to deliver this operational training, we are preparing our resources as well. I'll go through those plans that we have, how we can improve our resources so that that can cater this multi-service platform operational trainings. So to cater that requirement for the operational training, actually training team is continuously building a highly technical training service profile. And on that profile, our trainers are highly industry leaders. So we have our in-house trainer as well as we engage trainer from the community. We call them our community trainers. So who are expert in their own field. We actually, when we deliver training, we partner with the industry experts and deliver our trainings. So what APNIC training team actually do in this joint training delivery system, we make sure our training materials, our resources are well structured, well documented, and updated regularly. And this is how, when we partner with our community expert trainers, we make sure the relevant content and appropriate content trainings are delivered for our members. APNIC trainings are delivered on open standard platform, which is compliant with IETF RFCs. And our training resources are multi-vendor training resources, not only in a specific vendor, but we cater all the leading vendor in the industry when we deliver the training. So to prepare for this year service delivery plan, we are actually redesigning the whole training lab. APNIC being an organization where our members are mostly the ISPs, to know better about the ISP networks, to know better about our member infrastructure, APNIC is also redesigning the whole training lab as a live ISP. So it will be a similar sort of infrastructure that our members, they manage, but in a smaller scale. But the advantage of the training team is, since we don't have any customers, we can break the network and we can learn from there. And then we can teach our members how to fix and manage the large-scale big networks. So this lab will be used for new technology testing environment as well. So lots of new technologies are coming in to the internet operational networks. So all the new technology that are coming, we can do test in our training lab. From the lab also, when we do experiment on those new technology, and in that process we learn something, and then we'll try to sort of prepare some technology research paper, operational research paper for our members, and we can present those research papers in different technological conferences, for example, NOG, like APRICOT this time, and any other technical conference across the region. As I said, to make our training industry-oriented, training team will engage very closely with the NOC community, and this is how we try to get more ground-level information about the requirement of the training, about the challenges they face in the operational networks, and cater those into our training delivery. And we also have got a Train the Trainer program. What Train the Trainer program will do? Out of all those industry experts in different parts of our region, we sit with them, we teach them how to use our resources, how to use our lab, and how to deliver training in a consistent manner. So we'll keep a list of accredited community trainers. So community trainers will be the industry expert from different country. We normally call them country champion engineers. And then we keep a list of those engineers who are expert in their subject matter. So based on content that we are delivering in different parts in this region, we can engage those trainers so that when you deliver our training, that can cater the local requirement, the current technology, and the operational skill set that required by our members. To engage our to engage our member engineers actually in our training delivery, we actually will maintain a social and media blog, and that includes video blog as well, and where our engineers can interact more with the trainers and among each other as well to share their knowledge. In our workshop, when we do hands-on, so normally engineers, they have lots of questions. If they are not able to bring their question in the on-site training, they still can interact with our experts through the social and media blog. And that's the objective of the blog, to engage them in a regular interval. So now I'll talk about the technical assistance. That is another service that we are focusing. So technical assistance is the second step after the training. So when we finish the training, especially the operational training, then definitely there is a requirement come how we can implement those into our infrastructure, into our network. So when our members, they go to their infrastructure, they try to implement it, there are some more other challenges come, and that actually restrict the deployment of the knowledge. So training team will then afterwards sit with them and do these things together. So this is how we'll try to give a momentum to our members so that if there are some constraints to implement the technology into their networks, we can help them to implement that. So in technical assistance service, we have actually outlined the scope of our activities. So normally we will target those small scale technology challenges that our member faced into their network and how we can give them a bit of momentum to implement that into their network. So those small scale technology challenges that definitely includes those problems is very difficult to justify a commercial business case and make a project to implement that. And since those challenges are very difficult to implement as a commercial project, so training team will help them to do that in a cost recovery way. So we have outlined some of the activity areas that we will be engaging this year. Number one is our routing registry function automation. As the engineers, they're aware like the route hijack case from in internet, and most of the incident that we experienced recently are actually done from the Asia Pacific region. And the reason behind those route hijack cases is not the malicious intention, but mostly because of the misconfiguration. So our routing registry function automation, this activity this year, will help our members to implement the origin validation of the prefix. It makes sure the prefix has been originated from the authorized AS number and authorized prefix, as well as how they can validate the path of those routing advertisements. So to implement that, training team will sit our members to implement both RPSL and RPKI technology together to implement these solutions. The second one is the V6 deployment plan. We'll sit with our members. We have experience from the team, like member service team as well as in the training team. After receiving the prefix, member has experienced a bit of challenge how they can implement that into their network, from where they can start in V6 deployment. So we will sit with our members, do the plan with them by looking at their infrastructure, looking at their topology, and help them to deploy V6 into their networks. And that includes both the IP core network, in the access networks of the infrastructure, as well as in the content side of the network. Third thing that we'll be sitting with a member is to give them some insight analysis of the prefix deaggregation. As we have seen a number of presentations throughout the week, when engineers, they advertise prefix to the internet, sometimes for specific reason, sometimes without knowing the option, they do deaggregate the prefix. So on this activity, what we are hoping to do, sit with the member, do some analysis in which circumstances they need to do the deaggregation of the prefix. And if they can manage it in a better way without aggregation, we can recommend that, how they can optimize that. And if you see in the CIDR report that we maintain in APNIC, around 51% prefixes can be deaggregated without any impact into their network. And that will definitely reduce the total prefix size to half in the global internet. Then the fourth activity that we will be doing from TAS, or Technical Assistance Service, is the IXP operation and system support. So in Asia Pacific, we have got a number of IXPs. Some of them are small, still in a scale. So on those IXPs, we have experienced, member has, experiencing some challenges on monitoring their port, managing the peering, managing the members' relationships and all. So from the task team, we will be sitting with those internet exchange and demonstrate them some of the open source tools and technology available so that they can effectively enhance the performance of the IX, especially in terms of managing the peering, managing the data exchange, monitoring, and all sort of other things. We help them to set up the looking glass in the IX. We help them setting the route server in the IX if they need it. So, quick diagram of our training lab. And if we can see in the training lab, the way we prepare the lab, that can train our member how to manage the IP core network. This is what our IP core network, and that is what the customer enterprise networks who are multi-home in a sense, and they are connected to the internet exchange, they are connected to the upstream. So this is how we build our training lab. So in the training lab, we can do training, we can do research, we can do experiment on different part of the network, including the internet exchange, all the way up to data centers and transit and upstream. So that is what the training lab that we have in the office. So we are using currently 2 rack, and that will be upgraded this year. I think that's what I have as a presentation. And if you have any question, we can take the question.
Aftab Siddiqui. I'm really looking forward for the prize now. So you mentioned something about the setting up a lab for ISPs where you'll be testing XLAT and things like that. So that lab will be available online, booking or something?
That is a physical lab, but if our members, like they want to do experiment, we can schedule the lab for them and they can do the experiment for their own requirement. Yes, it's possible. But that's not, that online means, yes, you can access those from online.
On that note, the real problem is the latency from Brisbane to the rest of the world. From half of the Asia Pacific, that is okay. But if you're talking about India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, mostly South Asian region, the latency doesn't help you to access these labs in Brisbane. So are you planning to put it in somewhere else, or just gonna be in Brisbane? Or with the advent of all the virtualized router, you can do it in AWS instance, turn it on when it is required, with very less amount of payment to do, or something like that, just a suggestion.
Well, this physical lab is for the experiment to build the new resource and content. And after that, when we deliver the training, we actually virtualize the whole lab into a Mac Mini. So as you can see in our regular workshop nowadays, we normally carry a small Mac Mini with us where the whole lab has been built. So when we have tested the technology, we have prepared the resources, then it has been ported onto a Mac Mini, and we carry the virtual lab in different part where internet connection is not required to access the lab, yes. So we have virtualized that.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Nurul?
If not, then thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Nurul. I hope you get some time to speak to Nurul if you're interested in any of the information that he has shared here. Before we move on to the next speaker, I'd like to refresh the atmosphere a little bit again. I just wanted to quote something that I read from a book lately. What really is the true service? And from what I read is true service comes not from demand and dashboards, but they really comes from basic human desire to take care of other people. So I'd like to share that with you. And so now I'd like to pass on the floor to George Odagi. George Odagi is a very young member of the services team, and this is probably his first public presentation at the APNIC conference. So please show your support for George Odagi. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is George Odagi, and I work in the member services team, and I also do a bit of policy support and SIG support for Adam during the conferences. So I'm here today to give you a quick and sneak preview of So to give you a sneak preview of the APNIC Statistics website, which will be made available from the APNIC website after the conference sometime. So firstly, I'd like to ask the audience, is there anyone here who likes statistical data? Anyone? Okay, so there's quite a few. I personally find it boring. Never enjoyed it in university or anything like that. But as you can guess, I'll be talking about APNIC statistical data for resource delegations today. So to give you a bit of background information, APNIC has used a tool called O3 for statistics data for over 10 years now. And it's quite old. So has anyone ever heard of O3 or used it in their line of work before? Only APNIC staff? Yeah, so it's not very known in the industry. So it's a web-based analysis tool developed by a company named Ideasoft. And anyone who hasn't seen it, this is what it looks like. So in a nutshell, it's a very basic tool that allows viewing of statistics in different views. You can select types of charts and filter information and output them as a spreadsheet as well. So we think it's done a very good job over the past, though since it is quite outdated now, we thought it was time to try something new. So as many of you may already know, as an RIR, we generate a lot of data from resource delegations on a day-to-day basis. Each time a resource delegation is made, such as IP addresses or AS numbers, there's a log that is updated on the APNIC FTP stats site. This data is usually stored in plain text format and is updated daily. So here's a screenshot of what the APNIC FTP stats site currently looks like. New reports are published daily, as I've said, and you can see there are many files that cover different types of resource delegations. There's also a main file called Delegated APNIC Latest, which shows every single resource delegation made since the FTP site was first created. So this is an example of what the actual FTP stats file looks like. You can see that APNIC delegated to this economy, just there, the type of resource, the starting IP range, the number of addresses or prefix length, the date it was delegated, and whether it was an allocation or an assignment. So we thought, how useful is this information and how can we present it to the public in a more effective way? We wanted to find a way to grab all the FTP stats data and deliver it to users through a more user-friendly and visually rich experience. As a result, we decided to work closely with the company called Elephant to develop the new statistics tool, which I will demo for you shortly. But first, you may be wondering, what are some benefits of some visual data? With advancements in technology and the increase in mobile devices, people, including myself, like information presented in graphs and charts that are quick and easy to understand. This is often the case where there's a trend or comparison to be shown over a period of time, and it makes them more exciting to look at, makes reports more compact, and who really wants to look at boring tables of data anyway. So that's what I've seen. So before we start with the demo, I just want you to note that it is still a prototype, and we have been meeting regularly with the vendor to make continuous improvements. There have been numerous changes and fine-tuning over the last few months, so we would love to hear any feedback from you guys. So at the end of the demo, if you guys have any suggestions, please feel free. So I'll just... So this is the main summary page. So on this page, you can see all resource delegations, a total for each resource delegation, as well as the AS total, which is sorted by subregion. You can see that And you can use these 3 dots here to collapse the legend if you like. This is more useful for mobile devices. And you can also, and so you can sort out by each type of resource. And then from there you can drill down to each sub-region and then the respective economy within that region. So I'll do an example by showing you New Zealand. So this shows all AS number delegations over the last few years in New Zealand. You can obviously sort by 2 byte, 4 byte. You can also select the cumulative option to show the snowballing effect of resource delegations over the years. Another cool feature about this one is it's been optimized for mobile browsers and devices. So if you have a different window, so you can try, just trying to resize it here. So you can see that. So when you resize it, it will automatically adjust according to the device. Also, another cool feature is that you can go to the map view, which shows you the darker shade indicates how much more resources it has in relation to the other countries in that region. So if you look at Southeast Asia, you can see that the darker colours have more resources and the lighter shades have less. Another feature that it has is you can export the data in various file formats. So if you want to, you can export the PDF, PNG, SVG, JSON, and CSV. So I'll give you an example of what this looks like. Yes, so yeah. So yeah, I think that's it for the demo. Okay, so to summarize, now that you've seen the prototype, you have a good idea what this new tool has to offer. It would be great to hear any feedback from the audience or suggestions. And if you'd like to see more of this demo, you can come see me during the conference anytime. And I'd be more than happy to show you more of the features. We are hoping to get this out and ready as soon as possible, and we're working with the vendor to release it sometime after the conference. Once it is ready to be deployed, it will be hosted on APNIC servers, and we'll make sure to let you know once that's done. So that's the end of the presentation. Thanks for your time. Any questions from the audience?
Any question for George?
Andrew Dahl, Aaron AC. Is this just showing the current point in time, or can you scale back to what things looked like in the past?
Yeah, you can definitely look back to from the start of the delegation that's in the FTP stats files. So I believe it's around 2009, 2010. Yeah.
So you could look at what data looked like in 2009?
Yes, that's correct, yes. Any other questions?
Any more questions for George?
Okay, that's it. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Well, so you've heard all the presentation today. I just would like to end the session. I haven't forgotten about the prize, so if you answer my question, you will have your prize. Now, I just want to share one more thing. What is good service to you? Anyone want to have a go? Yes, Ingrid?
Give somebody else play one feature show.
Sorry?
Give somebody service for the people that you want to receive yourself.
Yep. Did you hear that? Give someone else the service that you want to receive yourself. Right? Excellent. Thank you. So I have one quote that I want to share. So good service is not about what you like. It's about the person you're serving prefers. That's what I like to share. Another thing is we talked about, I asked the question about what service is earlier. So And I like to mention, George Odagi mentioned a keyword here. We've been working with the vendor on these stats to make ongoing, continuous improvement. So with that, I'd like to find out what's your thought, what do you think is service excellence? Anyone? What is service excellence to you? We talked about service. I share about the quote. Service is about adding the value to someone else. So we believe that service excellence is taking the ongoing action to add more value to someone you serve. So with that, I would like to end this presentation. And please, we would love to hear the feedback from you so that we can serve you better. Thank you very much.